Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon, and this is Shannon's Book Nook. And today we're going to be talking about the books that I read in the month of May. Let's get into it. Okay, so always I like to start with the stats. So let's talk about how many books I read for the month of May and how I read them. So I read a total of 10 books, which is okay. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of disappointing because I was on a very competitive team-based readathon called Escape the Readathon, hosted by Books with Lexi. And I feel like I did not help my team very much. I just was not as successful as I wanted to be, or I have been in the past. So I am a tad bit disappointed with that. But overall, it was a very mid-month, which I feel like I've been having those a lot lately. So 10 books total. One of them I read physically, which has not happened yet this year. Most of the books that I read are either ebooks or mixed media. Then I read 3 audiobooks, 5 mixed media, which means I did a tandem read. I read 2 ARCs. I had 2 DNFs, which we will talk about shortly. I read a total of 2,528 pages, which means a lot of the books that I read this month were very average sized, like around 300 pages. I didn't read anything over 500 pages, which is abnormal, not gonna lie. And then as far as audiobook time, I listened to 78 hours, 50 minutes, and 26 seconds of audiobooks. So my average rating for the month of May was a 3.39, which is a little low, which kind of coincides with the fact that I had a very mid-month. My most read genre was romance. I had 4 books that had representation, whether that was mental health, BIPOC authors or characters, LGBTQIA, any kind of representation, plus size girlies. 4 books had representation. Trying to stay on top of and hold myself accountable for my 25 and 2025 book challenge. I have now read a total of 12 books, that means I only read 1 this month that was on that challenge. And then I've read a total of 53 books for the entire year so far. My goal is 100, so I'm a little over halfway, which means I'm on track. Usually by this point in the year, I've already made like 100. So I am reading significantly slower than I have been the last 2 to 3 years, but that's okay. Now let's talk about those DNFs. The first DNF is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. Look, I was incredibly bored reading this book, and I think I figured out that I am not much of a gothic reader. I don't like that. I don't know what it is about it, but it just doesn't align with my tastes. So I think I'm going to need to go through any books, and if they have a gothic vibe to it, like Two Twisted, like this series does, it may not be for me. So I need to kind of look into that, and I need to figure that out for myself. The other book was not a DNF per se. It is a pause. So My Friends by Fredrik Backman. I got an ARC of that. And I paused this book because I was having a really hard time staying focused. I had a lot of things going on in the month of May, including having to pack up my classroom because I'm leaving the school that I'm at. I'm leaving the district that I was at. I'm going to a new school, new district. So there was a lot of stuff going on for the end of the year that was kind of bittersweet and emotional. So I had a really hard time staying focused on this book. So I want to give it another chance, but just not right now. And then the last book I want to talk about before we get into my wrap up is a book that I'm going to be taking into the next month because I did not finish it. And when May ended, I was only like 45% into this book. Now, yesterday I read a big chunk, and already today I've read a little bit of this book. So I am a little more than halfway now, and unfortunately it got wet. The back of the book got wet, but that's okay. I'll dry it off. I am currently on page 278 out of 456. The pages are wet, so I'm scared I'm going to tear them. Yeah, 456. So, I'm just going to take this and add it to my June reads. No big deal. So, that's all we really need to talk about. Let's get into what I actually read and their ratings. We're going to start with the lowest rated books and go to the highest rated books, okay? So my first book is a 2.5 star rated book, and that's going to be Garnet Flats by Devney Perry. Look, I said in my TBR that I was probably not going to like this book based on the synopsis. I could already tell that this book was not going to be my favorite in the series, and I think I was right. Talia and Foster, like Talia, okay, this is a second chance romance, but the reason for Foster doing what he did was so stupid. It did not, to me personally, did not make up for the crap that he put Talia through. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. So I was not a fan of Foster, and I felt like Talia was kind of a doormat. So I didn't like either one of the main characters. And I was fine with Talia in the first two books. Like, we see her make a presence every once in a while because she's a doctor in this small town. I liked her in those other two books. I did not like her in her own book, which says a lot. So yeah, 2.5 stars. All right, up next we have the 3-star rated books. The first one I'm going to talk about is Bad Blood by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the 4th and final book in the Natural series. This is a young adult mystery thriller, gives off very Criminal Minds vibes, okay? I really enjoyed this series. However, the 4th and final book was a little bit of a letdown. Just a little bit. And mostly because there were some pacing issues for me. I had to kind of slog through some things that I didn't care about. But I did love the way this series wraps up in a nice little way. So I will say that book 3 and 4, Bad Blood, and the one that comes before, All In, book 3, All In, they do get a little bit darker. So keep that in mind. Even though this is a YA, there are some things that get talked about, and it is a little gory even for young adult. So keep that in mind if you're going to read this series. But I highly recommend it. Check it out. The next 3-star book I want to talk about is Ruthless Demon King by Nikki St. Croix. And honestly, this was a book, it was my TBR jar pick. I picked in the TBR jar, it said ebook, not Kindle Unlimited. So this book has been sitting on my Kindle shelf for a couple years now. And I have actually, somewhere, trying to find it, pause. Oh, they're right here. I have all of the Vicious Lost Boys series books by Nikki St. Croix, and to be quite honest, I loved this series. The Ruthless Demon King, I don't even know what to say about it, to be quite honest, because it's a very short book. If you'll notice, like, her books are like maybe just over 200 pages. And this one is the same. It's like 200 and something pages, or just under 200 maybe. So it's a quick read, but it was okay. Nothing really happened. I don't think I'm going to read the rest of the series because it wasn't what I was expecting, especially after reading this series and how spicy this series is. Book 1 of a new series, Ruthless Demon King, was not what I was expecting. So I gave it 3 stars. Okay, the next 3-star rated book I had was The Sting of Death by Riley E. Smith. This was kind of I need a book that starts with the letter S, so let me find something that's going to be short and quick. But I'm not mad about this one. Even though it's a 3-star, okay, this is a higher 3-star. So this is a cozy mystery. And we have the main character, whose name is not coming to me right now. Her uncle has left her basically all of his estate. And she's quite shocked because they are not close. And his death has been ruled an accident, but when we get into it more, we find out he was actually murdered. And the cousin of this person, the main female character, is like, you took my money. Like, you took my dad's, like, what is going on? She's not happy about the decision that her dad made. So, and she's like a well-to-do person in this very small town. What I loved about this book in particular is that the money is going to be used to make an animal like sanctuary. And we have a dog in this book that is a pit bull, and he is super, super cute. And he does a lot of funny things in the book. I had a good time with that. Is it memorable? Not really, but I had a good time with it. And I do recommend this book, and I do believe it's also a series, so check that out. All right, my last 3-star rated book is, it hurt my heart to give this book a 3-star because I was so excited to read this book. And it's Forced Proximity by Jayme and Eve and Tate James. I absolutely love Tate James, and I'm very meh about Jayme and Eve, unfortunately. I have read, like, I own several series from Tate James. You can see them right here. Okay, right there. I have DNF'd books by Jayme and Eve. They just don't do it for me. And I was hoping when you put the two together that I would like it. But I guess we kind of just meet in the middle. 5 stars for Jayme and Eve, and DNFs, we kind of just meet in the middle and give it a 3-star. This is a White Shoes. And, you know, I'm going to be keeping this one because it is a signed edition and an arc of the book. And I do like the characters in this book. There is some suspense, like there is something obviously going on, especially the males in this book, and there are 5 of them. 2 of them are very much like, we see what we want and we're going to take it. And the other 3 are kind of more standoffish, 2 of which have girlfriends. So I don't know how that's going to work in the next book or throughout the series. But the cliffhanger in particular in this book will definitely have me reading the next book in this series. So even though I gave it a 3-star, and normally if it's I'm going to read the next book. Now on to the 4-star rated books. The first one I'm going to talk about is Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Adams. And I had such a good time with this book. It's very spicy. We have a plus size girly and we have Black characters, which adds to my representation. I absolutely adored both of these characters. We have the main female character is just kind of taking the L in dating. And she is at this bar one night, and the bartender basically befriends her and is like, look, I'll kind of be your wingman. I'll be here to help you through your dating experience. You bring all your guys here and I'll help you. I'll keep an eye on you, make sure you're safe. And so she does that. She takes him up on it, and he kind of like walks her through like what went well, what went wrong, like how to avoid the pitfalls on the next date. And if these guys are actually good guys to continue dating type thing. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I did listen to the audiobook, and I will say sometimes the audio was a little cringe. So I would have to stop the audio and just physically read it with my eyes, especially in a sexy scene, because sometimes it was just, stop. Let me just read it with my eyes. So yeah, 4 stars. Next up, for my 4-star rated books, we have Leave Me Behind by K.M. Moronova. This was probably my favorite read of the month of May. So we have a military romance, enemies to lovers, toxic people, very dark romance, okay? We have Nell, who is the main female character. She also goes by the name Bunny. That is her, like, code name in the military, in this group that she's having to be a part of. She is a badass. She is a badass, okay? And then we have Bradshaw, also known as Bones. And Bradshaw has a twin brother who's also on the team, but I cannot remember his name. And he is basically like the captain of the team. And Nell and Bradshaw and the other brother kind of meet one night before they know that they're on the same team. And Nell and Bradshaw have a one night stand. And then they go to their job the next day and they realize, crap, we are team members and I hate you. So yeah, they hate each other because she was the only surviving member of her other team, and they think that she sabotaged both her team and their team and got one of their team members killed, as well as her entire team. So that's the reason for the hate, which is all said in the synopsis, so that's not a spoiler. And they have to work together in these very serious, dangerous situations. So yeah, I had a good time with that book and I highly recommend it, but be sure to check those trigger warnings because there are a lot of things in this book that a lot of people won't be able to read. So check those trigger warnings. Next 4-star rated book is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, which is the complete opposite of what I just talked about with Leave Me Behind. So this book is light and fluffy and sweet and very clean. So completely different vibes for sure. But I still had such a good time with this one. So we have Annie Walker, who is a virgin. She is a good girl. She's not having a lot of luck with the dating. And she's like, I need to practice dating. And that's where Will Griffin comes in. And we met Will in When in Rome. He is the bodyguard of Amelia. So we have this guy who has this persona of being a little bit of a bad boy, a little bit of a womanizer, but don't judge a book by its cover. I ate this up, okay? Small town, good girl, finds love, this guy who thinks he can't really settle down because of the lifestyle he lives and his job. Oh, it was so sweet and I loved it. And Sarah Adams is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors to read from when I need a little bit of a feel-good romance. My next 4-star read was Any Trope But You by Victoria Levine. And I really like this one. I saw a lot of people talking about how they didn't like it or they had DNF'd it or it was very mid for them. I gave this 4 stars. I really liked it. So we have Margot Bradley, who is a romance author, but she has been outed at one of her like virtual author meetings with fans. Somebody has released her happily never after list. And her fans and her publishers and her manager, they are not happy with the fact that this list has been outed. So Margot's sister sends Margot to Alaska. She was planning on going to Alaska anyways to research for her next book that she was planning on writing. But when all this happened, like things, they were like, no, just lay low. Like, we're not going to release anything right now. We're not going to write anything right now. And Margot's sister was like, no, if you're going to lay low, you're going to lay low in Alaska and you're going to go ahead and still do your research. And if you can write, you can write. So that's what Margot does, where she meets Dr. Forrest Wakefield. He's a little bit of a grumpy man. And we have a moose in the story as well, which is quite hilarious how all that comes about. So yes, I really had a good time with this one, and it was a little bit spicier than I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to lie. So I had a really good time with this one. And my last and final book that I'm going to talk about, which is a 4-star rated book, I read The Favorites by Lainey Fargo. Okay, so this book features a lot of characters. There are a lot of people to keep straight, but the main characters, the main focus of the book is going to be Katarina Shaw and Heath Rocha. And so these two are partnered up. They're like best friends. They've known each other since childhood, and they are ice dancers and ice skaters. They want to go to the Olympics and represent the United States of America and bring home gold. They come from a very different background than a lot of the other people that are mentioned, especially Bella and Garrett, who are, their mother is a ice dancer. She went to the Olympics. She did all these things, amazing things, and now she's their coach. And they are well-to-do. They have, Bella and Garrett's family have a lot of money, while Katarina and Heath come from a very low-income family with a lot of abuse. So their experience is very different, and this is sometimes can be a very hard book to listen to. I listened to the audiobook. And I highly recommend going that route because this is a full cast audiobook. So I highly recommend the audio for this one, going that route for sure. But if you like messy, drama-filled, flawed characters, this book is for you. Highly recommend this book if you love those things, because these characters are nowhere near perfect at all. This is, yeah. So yeah, that was my last. So I didn't have any 5-star rated books for this month, which kind of sucks, but Leave Me Behind, The Favorites, and Curvy Girl Summer were probably my top 3 for the month. And I highly recommend any of these books that I've read, except for maybe Garnet Flats, because I didn't really like that one. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking around. If you stuck around for this long, I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, don't forget to like it and subscribe if you want to. And I will see you next time. Bye.